Hello everyone, welcome back to Timberborn. This is episode 17 on the road to 1000 beavers. In the last episode we continued working on our third colony over here. As you can see, we have some overhangs and we're trying to get some more of these houses set up. Unfortunately, they're a little bit short on planks in this district, so we'll have to make sure that we can go ahead and transfer some from the other districts. And speaking of other districts, we have our second one, Bavaria Hills, over here. And they are going to be working on getting this underground power shaft area set up. And so as they work on getting this constructed, that is going to be extending the power from these water wheels in the second district all the way across to our third district over here, since they don't have any power at the moment and we want to make sure that they can make some production facilities of their own. But this whole process is going to take a little while, so we're starting it early, that way we can actually go ahead and tap into the power when we need it. And then in our first district, we're working on getting some vertical tree farms set up over here. And then taking a look at our second district, this has been one area that I've been wanting to focus on for a while. We have a lot of surface area of water, and I think that we could probably go ahead and streamline this a little bit. We do want to make sure we have irrigation over in this area, but this is not the most efficient way to do that. And so I went ahead and cleared away some of the unnecessary buildings. Specifically, there are quite a few platforms over here that we weren't using, since we upgraded the storage piles to the large ones under here. And these ones are almost maxed out on wood entirely. And so what I'm thinking over here is that we're going to go ahead and actually change it so they won't have any of the water over here. Instead, we'll make just a single dump point and we'll get a fluid dump set up. And then that fluid dump is going to lead to these underground caverns that we've made. And then we'll go ahead and extend some over in this direction as well. That way we can go ahead and irrigate these trees. And then we won't be having as much water going through here. And then in the meantime, we can also go ahead and start making a path over to our water source in this area, since we'll want to do the same thing we did on the other side with the sluice and have the water funnel out of here into this little pond. And I'm also trying something out. We have some dirt blocks that are over the top, but there is a space underneath for the water to flow into, so that is probably creating a little bit of a pressurized system. I haven't really worked with this before, so this is the first time I'm experiencing it. And so we can continue to place down some trees over here. And then checking back in on the tunnel, we've extended it from the middle so far. And now, since the bad water has cleared from over here, since in the last episode we actually had some bad water spill into this area, thankfully no beavers got contaminated. But now we can work on constructing the tunnel from both ends. And then since we have a good amount of wood, we can also start placing down some power shafts on the bottom level. Since what I'm planning to do is make a tunnel that is 2 levels deep. That way the beavers can walk all the way on top of the second level and then place power shafts below without having to worry about them trapping themselves. And as you might be able to see, we have some beavers who are tunneling under here. So they are underwater, placing down all of the parts that we need. Uh-oh, I destroyed the wrong part. Quick pause, let's go ahead and place down some more of these levees. I was trying to place down some dirt blocks over here, but it looks like the delete button accidentally caught some of those. So unfortunately we're going to be flooding over here a little bit. Let's make sure we go ahead and super high prioritize all of this, and then also go ahead and put the path back in. And thankfully they were able to repair it pretty dang quickly. And so now we have some dirt blocks that we're working on from the other side. Originally I placed them down starting on this side and facing this direction, but then I realized I wouldn't actually be able to reach them over there. So I think I should be able to fit a sluice in under here, but I'll need to make sure that I go ahead and block it from the back side. So we should just need to place down a temporary levee, and then they can go ahead and reach that. So we'll high prioritize it. And then if we place down just one of the tunnels right here, this should be 1 level lower than over here. So there shouldn't be any flooding even if we don't place this levee down before. And then once the levee is placed down, we can go ahead and place a second tunnel over here. You know, actually we might not even need the tunnel on the second level, since we can just go ahead and place the sluice here. I don't think it needs to be exposed on the top when placing it down, but we'll be able to find out in just a moment. Except they can't actually reach this one, so let's go ahead and place some stairs down. And so we still have a lot of unemployed beavers in this district. We do have a lot of builders' huts, but we can go ahead and squeeze some more in. That way we can go ahead and put these beavers to use. And then it looks like the beavers were able to finish constructing these overhangs and these houses. So now we're up to 69 beavers in this district, and we still have 3 unoccupied beds. And it seems like we're almost perfectly balanced in terms of jobs and beavers in this district. But we are going to start ramping up production once we can get some power from the second district all the way over here. Although right now we don't really have anywhere that we can actually make the production facilities. What I was thinking is that we could go ahead and lower this right here, so we'd basically make it level with the houses. And then maybe we could go ahead and get some tiers cut in along this hill and get some of the production buildings placed in there. We also do want to make sure we can get some larger storages set up because we have the initial storages. Unfortunately, that means that we can only store anywhere from 20 to 30 of each resource. So that is also something we should go ahead and focus on. So we can go ahead and place a bucket of dynamite over here, basically covering this entire ridge. And then once we've leveled this out a little bit, we can go ahead and look at getting some storages set up. We could probably go ahead and utilize the underground storage system that we have in the first district. Maybe not quite at that scale, but we can get a bunch of medium warehouses placed underground. I'm also seeing that we're running pretty low on water, so let's go ahead and bump up the amount of water pumpers we have from 1 to 2. And then if we're still running short, we can always add a third one. And then we don't really have a whole lot of fun stuff for the beavers. We do have a couple of these rooftop terraces, but that's really all that we have. And I'm seeing quite a few beavers who are sitting around. You can see these lumberjacks, they are sitting around. Looks like we're actually maxed out on wood at the moment. And then we also have some haulers who are sitting around. So maybe we can go ahead and switch some of the jobs up. We probably want to get a couple more builders huts constructed. And it seems like just overnight we had a bunch of beavers who grew up. So now we have 7 unemployed beavers in this district. So we can go ahead and get one builder's hut placed down. Make sure we go ahead and prioritize it. And then we can also get a second one placed down. And then going back to the district of Beaverland Hills, you can see that they have constructed all the dirt over here. Now they're working on placing some more over in this area. And then also once they get the tunnel constructed under here, we can go ahead and block it off from the water in this area and start getting the fluid dump set up. Looks like they've made some excellent progress. Let's go ahead and place some more paths down. And it looks like we have been having some periodic flooding over here. We can probably go ahead and fix that by just reducing the height of these floodgates just a little bit. And it looks like we do have a drought approaching in just over 2.5 days. But we have a good amount of water saved up, and it looks like our reservoir here has been completely filled. And then let's see if the other reservoir has been filled up yet. It is also maxed out. But really quickly, let's go ahead and double check. It looks like we do have the area ready for the sluice. Let's see if we go ahead and remove this. Can we actually build a sluice directly underneath it? Looks like it fits no problem. Let's go ahead and high prioritize that. And then we actually could go ahead and remove this. We don't really need this levee. And then once they build this sluice, we can go ahead and place a piece of dynamite right here. And then the sluice over here and the sluice over here will work in tandem. And then this original sluice that we have and the second one we're installing will be working in parallel, since these water elevations are the exact same. And then once we have that set up, we might want to look at expanding this reservoir even more. But I think for now we should be able to survive with what this is. But for now I think we should be fine with how large this one is. We can probably go ahead and start cutting off the water connections all the way back here. Once we know that we have all the trees irrigated from the fluid dump that we will be setting up, then we can go ahead and basically close this off. And then we can start filling in dirt all the way along this area. And then taking a look at our main district, the district of Bavaria, it looks like their well-being is only at 18. It's not very high. We only have about half of them who have exposure to wet fur. We do have a good amount of nutrition for them. We're missing grilled chestnuts, which I don't think we even have any chestnut trees planted. And then we don't have any maple pastries since we're a little bit short on maple syrup at the moment. And then in terms of things they can do, we really only have campfires and rooftop terraces. We have a few beavers who went to the contemplation spots, but that is just about it. And then in fun, it looks like 2/3 of them have been going to the Lido, but we gotta go ahead and add some fun stuff for them, since 18 well-being is not really as high as we want it to be. Plus, if we can start bumping that up, then we can get some more production out of the beavers, and it will also increase their lifespan and their movement speed. And so if we want to go ahead and set up some fun facilities, let's go ahead and rearrange everything over here. So we can go ahead and squeeze in some campfires over here. I'll get some of the decorations placed in between. That way the beavers get exposed to that while they're hanging out the campfire, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And then we have some of the bigger fun venues. We have the Agora and then also the dance hall set up. And so we have a few other things that the beavers will enjoy. But let's go ahead and get a second story added on top of the campfires. And then we can go ahead and add in some other things like the mud pit. We'll add in some more rooftop terraces. And then maybe we can go ahead and get a detailer unlocked, so we can actually place the overhangs directly over top these campfires. But before we do that, we'll go ahead and get some of the decorations set up over here. And you can hear all the beavers chanting in here. That's something else. I never noticed that before. but they are right next to the dance hall, and you can hear them dancing and then the chanting going on right next door. And so now let's go ahead and see if the sluice actually works. Looks like we have a little bit of flow coming out through here now, and so they are officially connected to the reservoir over here, which means we can go ahead and cut them off from the upstream section in this area. And so we are in the process of expanding the tunnel over here. We went up a level and it was slightly offset, so we're making some stairs, and then we can go ahead and make it all the way back here. Once we get that 3x3 grid set up, I think we should be good to go. And then all of these trees should be exposed to water, and then we can go ahead and close this off and then start filling in the dirt along this area. And then checking back in on the tunnel, let's see how they're doing. Looks like they've made excellent progress. We just have to go ahead and connect the paths in. And then since we have such a long path of tunnels under here, we can also probably go ahead and get some more of these zip lines set up. And then do something similar that we did over here with the staircases going down. Basically just make it a little bit more efficient for the beavers. And then heading back to our third district, I didn't really think about the dynamite over here. I just went ahead and detonated it, but we do not actually have the ability to reach it now. So we'll have to go ahead and make a temporary staircase, that way they can actually place the rest of this down. And then once they place that down, we can go ahead and detonate the rest of this as well. And then we might want to get some more houses set up. We have these ones that are underwater, and maybe it makes sense to extend over here to the left and right. But I think we'll just go ahead and stick with the normal lodge, and so we'll place a couple down on each side. And then one thing we can do over here is let's go ahead and get a large underground pile set up, since they have a lot of wood that they want to chop down. But right now we just have a single large pile that is housing all our wood. And then since we have some trees over here that are not being irrigated, I've set up another small 3x3 grid. This has been my go-to for irrigation that you can't see. Let me know in the comments down below how you guys irrigate your farms and your trees, because really there are a few different ways that you can do it. And it looks like they placed down all the dynamite over here, so we can go ahead and detonate it. And now we have this wide open space so we can go ahead and start filling up with some storages. Although I do want to place down some more dynamite so we can go ahead and make the storages underground. And so we can go ahead and start getting some warehouses placed over here. Although first I want to make sure that we can go ahead and place down these dirt blocks. But unfortunately we are running low on dirt in this district, even though overall we have 3.5 thousand. I think the limiting factor now is our haulers, specifically in the district crossing. We can go ahead and bump that up to 10. We are already at 10 over here, but it's just a pretty large distance that the beavers need to go ahead and cross in order to get all the resources into this third district. And so I believe we had a 9-day drought. It looks like we're just over 3 days into it. You can see our water levels have dropped a little bit, nothing too crazy, but these guys are pumping away, and you can see there is actually a steady flow going through here. And there's also some water flowing out to irrigate our crops over here. But now, as you can see, there's not as much of a flow going into this area. And then we can also go ahead and check on the underground cavities that we made. Looks like they are once again limited by the paths that we haven't set up. And so I think we should be good now in terms of reaching all this. So we'll just have to wait a little bit before they can finish that, and then we can go ahead and close this off. And so we do have these 2 dirt excavators running full time. Looks like we're doing pretty good on dirt, over 1.2 thousand. So we can go ahead and start filling some of this in. So let's go ahead and work our way back in this direction. Although, could we make something cool in this crevice over here? I think we probably could. It's a couple levels deep. It's fairly symmetrical. We just probably would need to make a few small tweaks. But if we go ahead and block it off right here, then basically this whole area, once it evaporates, it'll be exposed. And then we can think about making something under here. We could put a fountain under here. Maybe we place another one of the monuments. Although these two have a much smaller reach, so we probably don't want to place them over there. We could go ahead and place these ones near the houses. But at the very least, we can go ahead and get a couple of those placed next to the district center. And we haven't unlocked them yet, but we have 84,000 science. We are doing super well in science. Go ahead and place one down of each. And then let's go ahead and go to the other districts and start placing some monuments down as well. And then hopping back to our fun zone over here in the district of Bavaria, let's go ahead and get those overhangs placed on top. Oh no, we can't go... Well, we're going to go one level higher because I don't want to make it uneven. But it does look like the beavers' well-being is starting to improve. We are going to place some monuments down over here at some point soon. And so now that we have these overhangs placed on top, we can go ahead and get some of these other buildings set up. We have the mud pit unlocked, so let's see where we want to go ahead and place these. And then it looks like we can perfectly fit some of these detailers over here. And so we can fit a couple monuments over here. We'll go ahead and get the first one set up, and then the second one will be placed right here. It looks like they will just be out of range in the houses from this monument. And then these houses over here will be just out of range of this monument. So we'll go ahead and get a couple more set up on top of these houses maybe. And so I finally cut off the path that is going up and down here, since we do have these zip lines that are much more efficient. Now we can get this last house set up. I hope that we can fit a monument under that zip line. Looks like it is just barely going to fit. So we have a good 3 monuments set up now. We can also look at getting that third monument, the Fountain of Joy, unlocked for 12,000. And then I think that that should be fine. We might need to go ahead and lower this a little bit, because it does need to have access to water. And clearly it'll let you place it anywhere. So we'll see if we can go ahead and figure this out. And as you can see, the Beavers' Wellbeing is starting to rise. We're up to 25 overall. And the district of Bavaria is jumped from 18 to 28 in just this episode alone. So clearly we're doing something right. And as you can see, the Beavers are already enjoying some of the amenities that we've placed up here. And then hopping back over to the 3rd district, we did finish completing the underground pile. So let's go ahead and set that to wood, since there is a lot of trees that need to be chopped down. And then it looks like the Beavers are actually almost done setting up the 3x3 grid. When the water returns, it should be able to fill these ones up, since these 3 are still filled up, that was the goal from the last time we extended these. And so if we have that 4th one fill up during the next wet season, then these trees should stay irrigated. Looks like we have some trees over here that are not irrigated, even though we do have a 3x3 grid set up underneath those, which means we might need to extend this one over here and then set up a grid for them as well. We can also start placing down some of the storages over here, although it's a little bit of a walk across town, so let's go ahead and get some more zip lines set up. In fact, let's get a good zipline network set up in this district. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and set these zip lines up on top of these houses. Now, this might be a bit excessive having 4 zip lines up here, but we can make sure that we can go ahead and extend as much as we want down the road. And then this will be a nice little zipline hub for the future. And the drought has officially ended, so we are beginning cycle 24, and that's also where we're going to wrap up today's episode. We got a lot done, although one of the things that I wanted to do originally was get the second tree farm set up, but I have not had a chance to do that so far. So we'll have to make sure we go ahead and tackle that in the next episode, as well as work on getting the Fountain of Joy set up over here. But to give a quick recap on what we achieved today, we completely expanded our fun area for the Beavers in the district of Bavaria. As you can see, we have the Agora and Dance Hall, and then a bunch of campfires underneath here. Plus we have these mud baths and then some of the rooftop terraces and detailers. We also set up a lot of monuments over here. As you can see, we have 5 of them. And then if we go over to the Beaverland Hills, which it looks like they're out of power, but we do have a couple monuments set up over here. And as I am speaking, we are running out of water over here. It looks like our reservoir, it completely dried up now, so we will need to make sure we can expand that in the future. Maybe another thing we tackle in the next episode. And then we're also in the process of cutting this area off from the water supply. We don't need the water going all the way around, since we are going to get some fluid dumps set up over here. And then I think we're going to try and have something set up in this cavern instead of just filling it in. And then lastly, we have been working on getting the underground power shaft system set up. It's not a super interesting process, so I've been doing it in the background. But as you can see, we've made some excellent progress. And so the power shafts extend from these water wheels, and then they go down a couple levels, and they have gone quite a ways over here. As you can see, we have made it this far, so we're getting decently close. I'd say we're probably at least halfway, if not further. And then soon we'll have them turn, and then we'll probably make it come up somewhere over in this area. That way the Beavers of this 3rd district can go ahead and tap into that power. And so if you enjoyed today's episode, go ahead and hit that like button. I really do appreciate it. It helps the channel out tremendously. And with that, we will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.